You would walk straight into your own demise if the predator looked like a falling star. Last summer, a 27-year-old hiker named Daniel Park followed a soft violet glow between the pines of Blackwood Ridge. He wasn't running for his life. He was smiling. The last image, recovered from his digital camera, doesn't show a struggle or a beast in the shadows. It shows a clearing filled with a pure, hypnotic radiance that seems to vibrate against the lens. There were no signs of a struggle at the site, only a single set of boot prints that lead in a steady, rhythmic stride directly into a thicket where the vegetation had been bleached white. Daniel didn't disappear because he was lost. He disappeared because he found something he thought was beautiful. Most people believe that the dark is where the danger hides, but in the deepest reaches of the Blackwood Ridge, the danger is the only thing you can see. It is a spectrum of electric violet and pulsing neon green that cuts through the midnight canopy. A light so pure that it bypasses the logical mind and speaks directly to a primal desire for wonder. They call it the shimmering, a phenomenon that defies every ecological textbook ever written. Local records are filled with the names of those who followed the glow and never looked back. It is the ultimate paradox of the natural world. The more vibrant the light, the more desperate the void behind it. While nature usually follows a rule of energy conservation, these spectral silhouettes have inverted the laws of survival. They don't hide in the shadows to strike. They become the light that the shadows cannot touch. Witness reports, though rare and often whispered in hushed tones, describe creatures unlike anything seen on the plains. Their fur is not merely fur. It is a fiber optic tapestry that hums with a low rhythmic vibration. They move like liquid mercury through the ferns, casting long, dancing shadows that seem to have a life of their own. It is a beauty that feels divine, right up until the moment the distance closes. The core of the mystery lies in the relationship between the intensity of the radiance and the physical state of the creature. In most bioluminescent species, light is a signal for mating or a warning to stay away. Here, the logic is far more sinister. Scientists who have dared to study the perimeter suggest a chilling hypothesis. The luminosity is fueled by an empty stomach. When the pack is well fed, they are dim, almost invisible, blending into the gray bark and dark soil like common wolves. But as the hunger grows, the chemical reaction within their cells accelerates. The hungrier they become, the brighter they burn. A starving predator in these woods does not look weak or sickly. It looks like a god made of starlight, radiating a brilliance that can be seen from miles away. This is the bait that has claimed dozens over the decades. A hiker lost in the cooling damp of a moonless night, with the temperature dropping and the spirit flagging, is the perfect target. In that moment of vulnerability, a soft, warm amber glow appears between the pines. It isn't the harsh glare of a flashlight or the flickering of a campfire. It is a rhythmic, soothing pulse that mimics the heartbeat of the forest itself. It promises warmth. It promises a way out. The human mind, starved for sensory input in the oppressive blackness of the ridge, clings to that light like a drowning man to a life raft. You don't run from it. You walk toward it with open arms, convinced that something so radiant could never be the end of your story. There are stories from the 1970s of a survey team that went into the heart of the ridge to map strange mineral deposits. They were equipped with the best gear of the era, yet their radio transmissions became increasingly erratic. In the final recording, the lead surveyor didn't sound afraid. He sounded enchanted. He spoke of a cathedral of color and burning spirits that were guiding them to a place of absolute peace. The search parties found their equipment perfectly stacked in a clearing, but the men were gone. The only things left behind were those rhythmic footprints, leading into a density of thorns that no human should have been able to penetrate without effort. The biology of this hunger is what keeps the researchers awake at night. If the light is a byproduct of a metabolic crisis, it means the creatures are using their very life force to create a visual trap. It is a high-stakes gamble where the predator risks burning itself out if it doesn't secure a meal. This creates a terrifying feedback loop. The more desperate the pack becomes, the more irresistible their lure grows. They become a beacon of such overwhelming beauty that the human eye cannot physically turn away. The light triggers a release of dopamine in the observer, a literal chemical trance that numbs the survival instinct and replaces it with a sense of profound awe. You aren't being hunted in the traditional sense. You are being harvested through your own sense of wonder. Local folklore suggests that these wolves are not just animals, but guardians of a threshold we were never meant to cross. The elders describe the phenomenon as the cold fire, a test of the spirit. To them, the light is a mirror. It shows you exactly what you are looking for. If you seek wealth, the glow turns a metallic yellow. If you seek a lost loved one, it shifts into a gentle, ghostly white. It tailors its frequency to the specific longing of the prey. This isn't just hunting, it's a form of psychological harvesting. The creature doesn't need to chase you because you will spend your final moments walking toward it, smiling at the brilliance of your own undoing. Consider the case of a young photographer whose gear was recovered near a steep ravine 3 years ago. When the film was processed, the images were unlike anything the department had ever seen. The first few shots were standard landscapes, but as the sun set, the frames began to fill with streaks of violet and cyan. By the final frame, the lens was pointed directly into a thicket. There was no movement, no blur of a struggle. Just a pair of eyes, burning with a white-hot intensity that seemed to melt the very film it was captured on. There were no signs of violence on the ground, just a single set of boot prints that stopped exactly where the glow would have been strongest. What happens in those final seconds when the light and the observer meet is a matter of haunting speculation. Those who have survived the outskirts of an encounter speak of a heavy silence. The forest goes quiet, the wind stops, and the only sound is the low, electric thrum of the predator's pulse. The light is said to feel warm against the skin, even in the middle of a winter freeze. It creates a localized microclimate of artificial comfort. You feel safe, you feel seen. For the first time in your life, the world feels like it makes sense. And in that moment of total clarity, the light simply goes out. The hunger is satisfied, the radiance fades, and the forest returns to the indifferent blackness it has known for eons. There is a growing theory among fringe biologists that this isn't an isolated mutation restricted to a single ridge. They point to similar reports in the deep trenches of the ocean and the unexplored caves of the Andes. It suggests an evolutionary branch that realized long ago that the best way to catch a sentient being is to give it something to worship. Humans are a species defined by the pursuit of light, from the first campfire to the screens in our pockets. We are biologically hardwired to seek out the spark in the dark. These predators have simply mastered the art of using our greatest evolutionary strength as our ultimate weakness. The authorities maintain that these disappearances are the result of disorientation, hazardous terrain, and the natural behavior of standard mountain lions or wolves. They dismiss the bioluminescent claims as hallucinations caused by toxic spores or oxygen deprivation in the high altitudes. But they cannot explain why the missing are never found, nor why the search dogs refuse to enter certain sectors of the woods when the sun goes down. The dogs don't growl. They cower. They whine and press their bellies to the earth, looking up at the canopy as if the stars themselves were descending to the forest floor. They see a truth that our eyes, blinded by the need for beauty, choose to ignore. The mystery remains unsolved, buried under layers of official denials and the shifting leaves of the ridge. Is it a secret of evolution, a glitch in the natural order, or something far older that has simply learned how to speak our visual language? We may never know the truth, because the only ones who have seen the source of the light are no longer here to describe it. They are part of the forest now, their essence absorbed into the pulsing neon veins of the pack. The next time you look at a beautiful sunset or a glowing horizon, ask yourself if the light is rising to greet you, or if it is just getting hungry. The forest stays vibrant, the colors remain sharp, and somewhere in the deep, unmapped canyons, a new light is beginning to flicker. It starts small, a tiny spark of sapphire against the bark of an ancient oak. It waits for a pair of eyes to find it. It waits for the curiosity to override the fear. It is a slow, patient burn, growing brighter with every hour that passes without a meal. It is the most beautiful thing you will ever see, and it is the last thing you will ever need to see. If you ever find yourself on the trails of the Blackwood Ridge, after the sun has dipped below the horizon, remember the rule of the hunger. Do not trust the warmth. Do not trust the beauty. If you see a light that feels like a dream, it is because you are already in the middle of a nightmare. The most dangerous things in this world don't hide in the shadows. They stand right in front of you, glowing with the brilliance of 1,000 suns, waiting for you to take that final captivated step into the glow. The silence that follows isn't peace. It's just the sound of a flame that has finally found its fuel. Stay on the path. Keep your head down. And whatever you do, do not look at the shimmer between the trees. Because the brighter the light, the hungrier the dark really is. The shimmer isn't guiding you home. It's calling you to dinner, and it has already been waiting for a very, very long time. As the wind picks up across the ridge, the violet pulse begins again. It is a heartbeat made of color, a siren song for the eyes. Somewhere out there, someone is looking up from their map, noticing the strange, beautiful glow for the first time. They aren't afraid. They think they found something magical. They think they found a miracle in the middle of the woods. They take one step, then another, leaving the safety of the trail behind. They don't realize that the warmth they feel isn't the sun, and the light they see isn't the stars. It is the hunger of the ridge, and it is finally, brilliantly satisfied.